When I was growing up in grade school up till freshman in high school, I hated to go to church. I hated it because the homilies were boring, not relevant to me. I hated it because the music was awful. I hated it because I knew no one there. And so it was a drudgery. I went, of course. Mom made me, and I needed to get confirmed. So yes, I went to church. But my heart was far from it. And I was thinking that's kind of the good image of what we have in today's readings. In the first reading, we have the people who are following the law. You know, they're following the Mosaic law and obeying the Sabbath. But their heart is so far away from it that they're thinking, when will the new moon be over? When will the Sabbath be over so that we can display wheat? When will this be over so I can get back to what I truly love to do, and that's make money? And so their heart isn't in it. And in the gospel reading, we have the parable of this dishonest steward. And I focus more on the landowner. Landowner is rich. Landowner has lots of fields, otherwise people wouldn't be owing him money. And so now we know the story, that he wants more money, so he's going to fire his steward. And the steward kind of pulls a fast one on him, because he calls in all his debtor, cuts down the amount owed, and now the landowner is placed in a predicament. Because what's he going to do? He can't very well call all his creditors back and say, hey, this guy wasn't responding for me. You actually owe me the fuller amount. I don't know if that would be even legal. And not only that, he would lose a lot of face. He was also, everybody is at this time, knowing that he had written down all the debt, they're probably singing his praises. 3 cheers for the landowner. He cut down all the amount that we owed. What a wonderful guy. And now he has to go back and renege on it? No, I wouldn't do that. And the cherry on top of it for him is that he can't even get rid of his steward. Because how could he? When people would ask, why are you getting rid of him after you were so generous with all your money? And so if you step back and think, he was generous to the neighbors, and yet his heart was not in it at all. And so if our heart is not in it sometimes of following Christ, what is it that changed? I know for myself, what changed for me was that I finally understood what Jesus Christ did for me, how he saved me from my sins, how he died on the cross for me. What changed for me is to my recognition of my own sins and my need for salvation, that I do need to be saved. What changed for me was to recognize the overflowing love of God for me in giving us the Eucharist and giving us confession to free me from my sins. And once I realized God's love for me and what he has done for me, then it was a blessing to go to church. It was a blessing to hear the word of God. It was a blessing to go back. My heart was changed. And in the same way, for the loving my neighbor, it's so much more difficult to love a neighbor who's just a statistic. But when I got to know my neighbor, when I got to know people I serve, then it means something to reach out and help them. You know, all these things that we do oftentimes can seem like rules and regulations, and do I have to do this and do I have to do that? But yet, if we have our hearts changed by realizing the love of God and the image of Christ in our neighbor, then loving God and loving neighbor will not be a burden, not be a chore, but instead a blessing and a way to express our gratitude for God's love for us.